then I definitely agree you should have diversified stats.
It is interesting, but there's not a lot of teams with much room. It's basically FlyQuest and 100 Thieves. Those are the only teams with room.
The luxury.
The luxury. But before we get there, Energy C9, both 2-0 weeks. Cloud9 was coming off a pretty horrible streak. It was like 1-5 or 1-6. I think it was 1-5. 1-5 in that streak that they had gone. Yeah, of course, it was only 5 losses. They did 2-0 this last week. They looked really good. Game 1 where they super stomped FlyQuest. Game 2 was a lot more shaky. They were like forcing Baron with his Azir Smolder comp when they didn't really need to whatsoever. The Baron got stolen from them. The game got really hard as a result. So that one was like, but like, what's your take? Is Cloud9 back? Because we're kind of dependent on them being back to win the bet.
I think they looked a lot better this week. I like Vulcan being on
Engage.
Nautilus type champions. I think that's just in general going to make the team look a lot better. One thing that I thought was a really big note to me when I was watching the C9 vs Fly game is in Fly's losses, a lot of the time, I really felt for Inspired because his bot lane let him down so unbelievably hard that game. So I don't know if you remember, but FlyQuest late invaded bottom side, and so they just split maps from level 1, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, as Whipple, if I'm playing Aatrox and character, my team's willingly splitting the map against me. They better be winning, bro.
Italy are acting too.
Yeah. So it's top lane is completely doomed. We need to win bot. But what happened is, so Maokai, what you normally do with this is Maokai just red Raptors, and then he needs Krugs for level 3, and then you dive bottom. And they're stacking the wave. But what happened was Maokai got pushed off Krugs by C9's bot lane, which was a really good play by them, right? They're in this completely doomed situation. Some people would be crying for the jungler to come down, or people with TP to stop the dive, but they recognized, hey, they're spreading themselves too thin. Ashe isn't covering Maokai at Krugs. And so that was a huge mistake by Lucio there. And that kind of reminds me of some of FlyQuest's other losses where Inspired has been so behind because of things his bot lane was doing. I think that goes to show their inexperience a little bit. And if I was Inspired, I'd be pissed, honestly. You need to be able to do that play. So then he gets pushed off his Krugs. He's just behind all game. They don't have the pressure bot. Top lane is just Nidalee reacting, what can you do?
And Blabber got early first blood, so Nidalee's just super accelerated.
Yeah, and it was just super unplayable for them. So I think that's been one of my concerns for FlyQuest. I think that their bot lane, their inexperience is definitely a point where I think other teams might look to punish and get advantages, and they're just going to have to find some way to not that happen.
Yeah, that's going to be really good for them to keep in mind. As far as the Energy and the Cloud9s,
how back are they?
2-0, how back
or not back?
I think C9's back.
After the first game, I was like, okay, they're so back because there's all these scream rumors and they're coming in, all the interviews are so confident. But I do have to say, after this one where they kept on forcing the ban, I was like, ooh, there are still some in-game calls that just don't make sense. And in the end, they still win. So it doesn't look as bad as it could. I feel like the conversation right now would be so different if they ended up losing that game off of losing so much tempo from those ban starts. Then it would be completely different. So that made me a little shaky. And then the Energy is the same thing where they got completely beat down, and then they only have a 2-0 because they YOLO'd. Caucus was down, they were down 6, almost 7,000 gold, and he runs in, he steals the Baron like we were talking about earlier in the episode, and then so it looks like a nice shiny 2-0 for Energy also. And we're like, oh, this is expected, Cloud9 and Energy, the two teams we thought were going to make the most of the breaks and fix everything. Mm-hmm. Obviously they did, right? Well, not really. So it makes this Super League super exciting as far as what we're going to see. I do have confidence in Cloud9 because those things are pretty easy in review. I think most of the other stuff they did this weekend
was really good.
Was all really, really positive. So
Jojo looked really good. He had a super good weekend. I think he was Azir both games.
Yep. Azir and then not Azir.
Yeah, which obviously really strong champion. So.
But Azir's bugged, right? So it might not be.
I heard he's disabled.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I think JoJo, I want to say, is 4-0. I think I was looking at this on Azir. So 4 of their 6 wins, I believe, and that'll be disabled.
Yeah, I'm not worried about.
Not saying he can't play other champions.
Champion pool. Yeah, I'm not worried about his champion pool. Maybe it's something with the team overall to have him as a big DPS source as well as possible playmaker to fill in some plays for them.
If you can make plays,
but
push in lane, you can scale.
Yeah, I mean,
he just does everything.
He was also, even in some of their loss where he was Nico, that one stands out in my mind. I was like, wow, this guy is the best player in the game right now, and they're losing the game. So I don't really, I'm not really, yeah. I did not expect that. I don't have concerns for his champion pool with the Azir disabled, but it definitely is a tool that they have used a lot.
Yeah, he used it really, really well. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I think Cloud9 definitely looked much better, and I think especially just the shift, like as people have talked about. I think Blabber looked really good on Italy. I think that, unleashing him a little bit from tank duty in the jungle, I think helps. And I think, Vulcan's playstyle as an engaged champion, I think he plays that really, really well. His Nautilus games, everyone always loves the meme on Nautilus being no skill and whatnot, but he was playing really, really well. I think in particular in the FlyQuest game, there was at least 2, if not 3, chains of corruption from Varus that he buffered his Q on and just basically made it mean nothing. Like, he sees the chains of corruption coming out, he throws his Q backwards and just pulls himself to the wall while rooted, and they just couldn't engage onto him. And those were kind of